terror, we believe we win.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are coming in from. Hope everybody's ready for the Miracle Magic afternoon call. For those that don't know me, my name is Robert Fitzgerald. I've been with the Miracle Ecosystem since almost the very beginning. Extremely blessed and highly favored. But without further ado, I'm going to bring up the presenter and trainer for today. He's not only one of the top earners and leaders in the company, he's been in the industry for decades, built teams of tens of thousands of people with multiple companies, been in and out of corporate, help design comp plans, and he's a retired New York City firefighter. But above all that, he's my friend and sponsor. Ed, take it away.
Hey, Robert, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to work with you, brother. We are really having a blast here. So I see all the names that were popping in. There are so many great people that are part of this movement, and we really have something special here. So we're going to be doing these calls now for the immediate future on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's the afternoon hours in the Eastern time zone. It's 3 p.m. It's a good time for some people. We record them, we post them, and we'll be going forward with that. And it's my plan, my hopes, my ambitions, and my prayers that this becomes a method that you will use to help build your business. And so I have had a lot of experience, and there's certain things that I'll cover in today's presentation that'll fit into these areas. I believe that things need to be fun, simple, and fast. I just like it that way. Personally, I know that, whenever somebody's looking at an opportunity, there are two predominant thoughts that run through their mind. Number one, how much is it? And number two, can I do this? I mean, is this something I would want to do? And so I like to keep it brief, baby, be brief. We're gonna try to nail this by the bottom of the hour. That includes the presentation and the fast start training. And that's the objective. The objective here is that in 15 to 20 minutes we could cover the information that's enough for somebody to make an intelligent decision. And number two, give them a way to go, a blueprint of how to get started. So let's jump right into it. As you heard, Mediterra, the name of the song that was playing, that's the parent company. That's really the holding company that is going on the NASDAQ. We got incredible things happening here, and I know that those who've been with the company for a while just can't wait for this to culminate, and we're there. So we're really close, and I got a feeling that the possibility of going on the upper board on the NASDAQ is a possibility right out the gate. So if we need to wait an extra week or two to make that happen, I think it's a good idea. I know that Douglas Anderson, we're going to talk about him in a moment. He is working hard, diligently to have that. So our parent company is Mediterra. Miracle Cash and More is a company that started in 2017, where Hakan Torahan took a look at the blockchain and realized with an incredible entrepreneurial background and a banking background that he had, that the future of finance was the blockchain. So he began building what he believed would become that necessary, needed tool that people will adjust to, and that's where we are. And then the Bellator, if you were invited here, you heard the name Bellator. Bellator in Latin means warrior, and we are warriors, those of us who are out in the field sharing the good news with people. So you got the parent company being Mediterra. You have the main companies are a bunch of miracle companies. We're going to touch on a few of them today, and marketing on Bellator. And as you can see, the miracle companies, there's a plethora. There's literally over 20 different companies that are underneath Miracle. We're only going to touch on a couple of them today, but as you can see here, there are a whole bunch. And one of the main ones that's really, in my opinion, when I first looked at this, I'll tell my story real quick. Back in 2022, I had a conversation with Ray Vidrio. Ray and I were old friends from a previous business 20 years ago. And he said, Ed, could I get just 5 minutes of your time to share with you what Micah and I have been doing? Now, Micah Thierd is the CEO and founder of Bellator. He's also a principal partner in Miracle. And I said, sure, Ray. And what he told me in just 5 minutes caused me to say to him, Ray, if what you're saying is true, I'll jump on a plane tomorrow and come to Cyprus. See, the company's located in Cyprus, and 6 days later, I was in Cyprus. And this was one of the major reasons why. See, I had done crypto in the past. I was a consultant acting as president of a company back in 2017, and I realized definitively crypto was the future. The technology wasn't there as of yet. And when he told me about a company that had the technology to allow stores to accept crypto as a form of payment, I said, Ray, if that's true, and then he went into a whole bunch of other stuff too. I said, if that's true, I got to be a part of this. It's just too big. And, I went there for a week. I met a contour hand and, of course, reconnected with Micah and Ray. They picked me up at the airport, and it's been lights out ever since. And what happened in the meanwhile is the companies out there that are the biggest in the industry that actually own the terminals. So from this moment forward, whenever you use your credit card, debit card at a machine, take a look at what company machine that is. Chances are it's either Ingenico or Pax or Verifone or NCR. All of them contracted with us to be their gateway to crypto, to allow their customers the ability to pay with crypto. And it's just getting ready to absolutely take off with the advent of us going on the NASDAQ. There's going to be a buzz out there. We already had Hakan Torihan, who's the founder of Miracle. We had an event scheduled in New York on Wall Street. It was set up for him to be on Fox Business, to be on Bloomberg, to be on Newsmax, and a host of others. That's getting ready to occur very shortly. And when that does, the buzz is going to go around, and then you're going to be looking back saying, wow, I heard about that when, we're telling you about it before it happens, guys. Miracle Pay is going to be a way in which people pay at the stores with crypto, and the size and scope of it is beyond imagination. All those companies I mentioned right there, they're all in business for decades. They're billion-dollar giants, and they chose us, Miracle, to allow their customers to use crypto as a form of payment. So we're going to cover some of the advisory board members. Upper left-hand corner is Hakan Torihan. He is actually the man I talked about earlier that created Miracle back in 2017. They invested millions and tens of millions in dollars to build the infrastructure. To his right is Douglas Anderson. Douglas Anderson is the CEO and founder of Wall Street Capital. When those contracts came in that we just talked about, those big name companies, that was probably about a year ago. And then I'm guesstimating it was about 8 months ago when Douglas actually reached agreement with Hakan on his company not only taking us public, but Douglas taking a major active role. Douglas has been doing this for almost 30 years now. His company's almost 30 years young. And he mentioned that, generally speaking, when he takes companies public, and they have taken hundreds of companies public, that he helps them get started, but very rarely does he take an active role. And in this one, not only did he take an active role, but he described Miracle as his swan song. Like, this could be the biggest thing he ever did. And the gentlemen that are below him and the young lady, Monica Profit, we're going to talk about her, they all recognize the same thing that Douglas did, and they said yes to become part of our advisory council. So let's finish off with Douglas, because he's got a lot of accolades that are linked to the Miracle projects. And that is, with Miracle, we own one of the companies, we own our own blockchain. It's the Miracle Chain, and we are tokenizing assets, bringing them on our chain. We have companies that are coming on our chain. Matter of fact, one of the projects is an airport in Europe, in Romania. It's in Bucharest, and Douglas Anderson happens to be the CEO and chairman of that project. And that's a $2.5 to $3 billion project, of which one of Stephen Norris, we're going to talk about him momentarily, one of his contacts that he's worked with for years is the King of Saudi Arabia. And the King of Saudi Arabia has already committed $250 million to that airport project. And we are also finalizing the tokenization of the Saudi oil reserves, as we're also, just on these things I'm saying right now, if you got an ounce of entrepreneurial blood in you, your ears should be perked up right now. You should be, what? what's he talking about? They have the technology to allow everybody to pay with crypto. They're tokenizing. The key words you're going to hear about continuously for the next couple of years is the tokenization of assets. You're going to hear about how, and it's kind of wild how when you really in tune to what's going on, you realize how much is going on behind the scenes of what I would call, I don't want to call it propaganda, but when it comes down to what we get shared with us in the media, it has nothing to do what really is news. It has everything to do with bottom line and who's making money on it. That's really what it comes down to. And right now, if everybody knew some of the things that just happened in the last week, meaning that um, bills have been signed, uh, banks are in the mix, the absolute future of the financial system of the world is going crypto, and everybody will hear about it. Most people won't recognize it for the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, and by that time, it might be too late to be positioned and really capture major market share and do something that could be a legacy for your family. So when Douglas first came on, he shot a video and he talked about some of these gentlemen. Lower left-hand side, that's John Baird. John created a little company. You might have heard the name. It was called Cellular One. It was acquired by AT&T to the tune of 1.8 billion. To his right, Stephen Norris. Again, you might not have recognized his name, but some of the things he's done you know about. See, Stephen was the chief counsel for the Marriott Corporation before he became CEO of the Marriott Corporation for 10 years, before he co-founded and was the idea man behind the Carlyle Group, which is private equity. That's one of the largest assets under management company in the world, over $600 billion of assets under management. And to his right is Stephen Moore. And Stephen Moore has been the economic advisor to the President of the United States. He also was selected to become the chairman of the Fed. He passed on it, but he accepted the offer from Douglas Anderson to be part of our advisory team. And to his right is Monica Profit. She's a blockchain specialist, an inventor, and an advisor, and she authored the first book on blockchain called Blockchain 101. So we have the best of the best people that are actually running the future of our company. And at the center is, of course, Hakan Torahan. So again, you might not know that there's a conference going on next month in Mexico City. It's the Stablecoin Conference, and not only will Hakan be there, not only are we sponsoring. If you look up top, you see from left to right, you see Bridge, the Tower Group. You have Fireblocks, which, by the way, is the largest custodial company of cryptocurrency in the world. Tether, which is #1 in the world in stablecoins, and Mediterra. That's who's sponsoring this event. That we're right there with them. And right above Hakan is Bo Hines. Bo Hines worked in the Trump administration with the AI and crypto czar David Sachs to help build the framework for what's getting ready. And part of what just happened is by a score of 9-5 in the Senate, there were some yesterday. There were some decisions made to actually advance the Clarity Act, and it's very close to completion. And when that happens, all of a sudden everything becomes crystal clear. What is a commodity? What's a stock? What is a meme coin? What is the bank's role? What can they do? What can't they do? Everything to do with crypto is getting finalized as we speak. And that's what the whole industry, the banks, the brokerage houses have been kind of anticipating and in some cases waiting for. But they have already taken the necessary steps. The whole world, the whole infrastructure of finance is changing, and the future is crypto. And we are right there in the mix of it. And if you look at all the different people who are keynote speakers there, you see representation from Google, from Wallet Connect, from Fireblocks, from Ripple, from Solana, from Bitso, and there's going to be more and more press releases that come out, especially when we are officially on the NASDAQ and have our own symbol. I believe we'll be seeing multiple press releases every week coming out about who just partnered with us. And I know some of the biggest names out there, and it's kind of been talked about that there are some big names in the travel industry, in the online retail industry, in the in several different industries like uh, when we watch something like Netflix, that's on streaming video. Which, by the way, John Bear is a technologist, and he built the framework. He actually built the framework for what Google runs on today. He's on our board, guys. This is big. It's huge, and if you're paying attention, this might be the top chance you ever have to really securing something monumental. And I believe that's the case. I believe that what Miracle has, everything under one umbrella, will become a household word, and that's where you could actually make a fortune. I like to say that the secret, if you want to call it a secret, is find out where the world is going, get there first, position yourself in front of the masses before the masses react. And that's exactly where we are. It's getting ready to pop in a major way. So we're going to watch a couple of short videos that kind of spell out some of our products. This is going to talk about Score ID. Now, we're all familiar with your score, your credit score. When you get a mortgage, when you buy a car, when you do anything where you're asking for finance, you have to apply and you get your credit score. And in the United States and for most of the world, the biggest scoring systems are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. They all score your personal fiat background and profile, meaning everything to do with the dollars as we know them today. Nobody yet scores your digital profile. And that is what has been created here with Score ID. When you think about all the big lending institutions of the world, they all score for the purpose of finding out whether or not the people that they want to lend to are creditworthy. They get a credit score. But what they don't know are all the people that have become crypto millionaires and billionaires that have a whole bunch of assets, and Score ID scores those. So let's take a look at this. This is like a 1 minute kind of commercial. We got a couple of short videos just like this, and then we'll move through and get to the culmination. Here we go.
To the traditional banking world, you are a blind spot. They look at you and they see no history, no profile, no value. But they can't see the digital empire you've built on the blockchain. Your true financial power remains invisible to them. Score ID builds the bridge, seamlessly blending your verified digital assets with traditional data, translating your complex financial life into one universal standard, the Miracle Score. Turn your digital wealth into instant action. Secure that luxury rental in seconds. Expand your purchasing power anywhere, all backed by mathematical transparency and a strict privacy-first architecture. Your data stays yours. Score ID, the trust standard of hybrid finance. Score ID.
So Score ID is a product that I believe will become a household word as we go about tokenizing the world. So attached to this is a product we call the Alpha Pass, and Alpha Pass does several things. Remember earlier I mentioned David Sachs, who was appointed as the AI czar and the crypto czar. He happened to be co-founder with Elon Musk of PayPal. By the way, the people that we're talking about are billionaires. They pretty much are the brightest minds that have put in the effort and built systems, and they understand business. Well, AlphaPass taps into the world of AI. And if you haven't been paying attention, pay attention. We say sometimes, in an interactive way, and we're not going to do it right now because this platform doesn't allow it. But sometimes you say, just type in the chat whether yes, you have experienced and worked with AI, or no, you haven't. And across the board, it's come out that 90% of the people have. I mean, I kind of find it funny because here at my house, we were in my backyard on the deck, and my wife had a bunch of friends, and there were a couple of guys, me and my friend John, and they were kind of talking about how when they send each other text messages that sometimes it doesn't work well and it misspells and uses the wrong words, and I said that's because you're not using AI. And they really didn't understand it at that point in time. I said, "Here, let me show you." I pulled out my phone and I used Grok, which is X, formerly Twitter's artificial intelligence, and I have fun with Grok all the time. Actually, Grok is if you're alone and you want to have a conversation with somebody, Grok will. The one that I have. She's very amusing. She's got a sense of humor, and she knows everything. It's like amazing how that's the future. The future is AI, and we're bringing to market a product that people will want. It's for the retail sector and for the business sector. So let's take a look at the Alpha Pass and just what we're bringing to the market. And we're going to show how you can make a fortune with this one product right here. Here we go.
AI is exploding worldwide, helping people save time, create content, grow businesses, automate tasks, and make life easier every day. But subscribing to multiple AI platforms can quickly cost hundreds of dollars every month. That's why we created the Alpha Pass. For a one-time payment of just $2,100, now discounted from $2,350, you secure a lifetime license to a growing ecosystem of AI tools and services. And here's the game changer. If you choose not to use your Alpha Pass, we'll pay you $90 per month for the usage rights. This is a limited release. Once all Alpha Passes are sold out, they will never be offered again. Secure your Alpha Pass today and position yourself in one of the fastest growing industries in the world.
So maybe you're not familiar with AI, or maybe you haven't played with it, or maybe you're afraid of it. But if you recognize that it is one of the top two driving factors in the economy these days, the other being crypto, I think you'll realize that when McDonald's got started, you could have bought a McDonald's even if you didn't eat hamburgers. And I look at it that way. I see this stuff and I play around with it, and I know that I'll get even more proficient. But that's not why I'm buying Alpha Pass. I'm buying Alpha Pass because I can make a fortune with it. And so take a look at it. We just did. And
AI is exploding worldwide, helping people save.
Hang on. So as you heard kind of in the video, it talked about $90 per month. You could actually use the product. And by the way, you could alternate month over month. You could one month take your ability to use the product, and if the next month you want to earn on it, 90. For me, I'm just earning on it. We'll get around to playing with it later. Right now, we got to make some money. So I'm bottom line when it comes to stuff like that. That's why I like things fun, simple, and fast. Let's look at year 1, year 2 here. We're talking about the possibility of earning $90 a month, year 1, 120, year 2. So let's put that in its proper perspective. There's something out there that's called fixed income. And if you're familiar with it, you're familiar with it. If you're not familiar with that term, you actually use it. If you have a bank account, checking account, you got fixed income, right? They fix a percentage to what they're going to give you. The banks are going to give you nothing. They're going to give you less than the inflation rate. You're actually losing money putting your money in a bank. But let's just talk about that. Your checking account, chances are it's well below 1% paying you. Your savings account might pay you 1%, maybe 2%. You might have your money wrapped up in a CD over a period of time just to get 3 or 4%. You might have a money market, to get you in that 4% range. And then you might actually be invested in the stock market. And if you're in an index fund like the S&P 500, or if you've invested in the Mag 7, which is the top 7 stocks on the S&P 500, you might make 11% annualized. They call that APR in that realm is for annual percentage rate, APR. And so we're not advertising this as an investment vehicle, but I can't help but think of what is the APR on a $2,100 product that will pay me $90 a month. I just think that way. And it happens to be over 50%. And there's nothing in the market that's doing that. So we have people that recognize that want this product. There's a great company out there I invest in. It's called Strategy. And they came out with a product that's paying 11.5% that blows away everything out there. And our ARR on this product is substantially more. So do you think you can make some money with something like this? So let's talk about how we make the money. Show me the money, right? We have Bellator that is powering the next generation of finance. We have all of these incredible companies, products that are swirling around us we're bringing to market. And what I always talk about is my wife, who I love dearly. With this year in July, it's going to be 44 years. Oh my goodness, I don't look that old, do I? We got married at 21. So anyway, I love Debbie. I mean, Debbie was corporate America through and through. I was the entrepreneur. I was a New York City firefighter. I've done a whole bunch of stuff. But I love that movie, Jerry Maguire. Show me the money. My wife is pretty much bottom line. She says, say it in cash. She doesn't want to hear all the story, the backstory, and the pitch and the vision and all that kind of stuff. I do. I'm very much into that. But she says, just say it in cash. So we're going to say it in cash. On the Alpha Pass, which is $2,100, you get started as what we call a trainee. And by the way, to become a member of Bellator, it's free. You become a member of Bellator, you get your own website, you get your own referral link, and you can start talking to other people. And we have a system where you become a trainee, and when you personally make 2 sales, you graduate from a trainee to a trainer. And as a trainer, you get to participate in the Magic. And Magic is an acronym that stands for Make a Grand in commissions. That's $1,000. On a $2,100 sale, you make $1,000. We just had our first commission run just 2-3 days ago, and I want to tell you there are people making tens of thousands of dollars already. It just in a couple of weeks of us talking about this, it is off the charts, guys. We are going to change the world for people who are looking for what am I going to do? Where am I going to do? I listen to all these different podcasts, and I learned so much. And the people I feel the most for right now is not the baby boomers in my generation, and I feel most for these kids that are in their 20s, and they went to college, they spent a fortune, and they're having a problem getting a job. And even if they get a job, they're not making enough money to live. They're living at home with mom and dad because buying a house these days is not easy. Rent these days is not easy. It's really hard, and we have a solution for them. So Magic, Make a Grand, operates like this. When you first get started, you're a trainee. And as a trainee, your first 2 sales, you make $200 on each sale. Once you do that, provided you personally have purchased, and by the way, there's 2 ways to qualify and graduate into a trainer. One is you buy 1 and you sell 2. That you'll hear me say buy 1, sell 2 all the time. Right up there, it says to qualify for the Magic, buy 1, sell 2. That's the best way. That's the simplest way. That's the fastest way, in my opinion. That's the only way. Now, I'm not telling you that you have to do that. What I'm saying is there is a way that people can get started, not spend any money, make 4 sales, which is 200, 200, 200, 200. 200 times 4 is what? $800. They made $800. That's cool. However, if they had made 4 sales by buying 1, selling 2, and then making the $1,000 on the 3rd and 4th sale, they'd make $2,400. So again, there's a lot of reasons why buy 1, sell 2 just makes sense. But that's the magic. Once you do that, forever, your future sales, you make $1,000 on each. Now think about a person who is willing to put in the time, make the contacts, show this to people, go however they do it. I have friends of mine. I have one friend that was a psychiatrist, worked for the state down in Atlanta, very sharp guy, loved the guy. He has since passed, but he'd get involved with a company, and you know how he built? He'd open up the white pages and just call people and talk to them. And he would be the top recruiter in the company. There are people going to bed at night on their knees praying for something. And once you see this and you understand Miracle Cash and More has the word miracle in it, and a miracle is a blessing, and our lives are filled with blessings, the birth of a child, finding a spouse, your grandkids, your job, the air we breathe, the beautiful scenery, the sunsets, everything in our life comes from above. They're miracles. And you have the ability to bless people. When you take the focus off of you and you put the focus on other people and you feel an obligation to share this with people, that's when you move mountains, because you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart. And so, for some of you that makes a lot of sense. For other of you that come from New York like I do, you're very skeptical. Oh, this guy's full of it. I get it. I get it. But the truth of the matter is, it is what it is. We're a real company. Those guys I talked to, they're not fake. This is funny as can be. I hear some of the leaders saying, "Oh, I got people telling me they're AI." They're real. We've met them. I've spent time with all these guys. You might have seen the video, the pictures we played in the beginning. I was fortunate, blessed to be invited to an event in December that was at the Harvard Club in New York City, and it was a black tie affair. Got to meet all those advisors that were there. And I had met Douglas Anderson prior to that. And I want to tell you, I thank the Lord every day. Literally, I thank the Lord every day for what we have here and what we have in life. We, regardless of what people think about the United States, we're still the best country in the world, by far, bar none. I wouldn't want to have it any other way. There are people all around the world that they'd rather have the U.S. dollar than their local currency. And all you got to do is go around the world, see what's going on. We talk about Turkey. Turkey last year had a 60% inflation rate. 60%, not 2, not 3, not 10, 60. People would much throughout Europe, Latin America, Southeast Asia, they all would rather have what we have. And sometimes we take things for granted. We're very fortunate and very blessed, and we should, look at it that way. This opportunity that you're looking at in front of your face, this is a blessing. If you see it that way, it is. And sometimes we have people that are naysayers, we call them dream stealers, that try to tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't do something. And I loved what Frank Sinatra was famously quoted as saying, "The best revenge is massive success." So, guys, you saw everything. We did a little bit of training in there. We have the Miracle Magic is $1,000 a sale, and we're going to leave you off with this, bring this to a close. I went 5 minutes over, I think, maybe 4 minutes over, but we came close to nailing this thing in a half hour. That's what we wanted to do, and I want to leave everybody off with this. From the bottom of my heart, I believe to my core that the best is yet to come, and that we are here for a reason, and that everything you've done in your life has prepared you for this moment in time. Let's go get it. Let's make it happen. With that being said, God bless everybody. Have a fantastic day. Come back on Thursday. We'll do this again, and I promise you it'll be better. It'll be more thought out. We'll be creating some slides, and we want to make this a staple that people who want it fun, simple, and fast will deliver it. Again, God bless everybody. Have a great day.